violence and other kind of violence.
Get away! I could be at work, at school, in my car, and I can still get shot by the police. But I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.
What's good, cyberspace? It's a Black Gen Z mindset. Make sure you go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe, and let's get into the video.
Departments across the area and the state, the country too, they're showing their support. These are just some of the posts and tweets we found. We wanted to share them with you. People mourning the loss of these deputies. Today we also spoke with officers from other departments about how they're rallying to help. We'll hear from them in our next half hour. And we are also gathering the heartfelt condolences at WSBTV.com, so go ahead.
So guys, if you haven't heard, 2 police officers were murdered last night in Cobb County. Very sad situation. They were killed by 2 Glider Gremlins. So, you know, we're going to dedicate this episode to those fallen officers.
And give it a read.
Now there are flowers at the site of a permanent fallen officer memorial outside the Cobb County Justice Center in honor of the lives of the 2 deputies who were killed. Flags are also at half-staff tonight. Joe Ripley has spent the day learning more about those deputies and their lives in service and what they have meant to their communities. He's joining us now live.
Hey, good evening, Jennifer. Yeah, I spoke with families of the deputies who tell me all they wanted to do was protect, serve, and defend their country and their community. Let's show you them now. 41-year-old Jonathan Koleski had been with the sheriff's office since 2007.
Wow.
A husband and Army veteran who served 3 tours in Iraq.
Wow, man. And he comes back here after keeping the country safe. He wants to keep his community safe. And then he's slain serving a warrant. You know, condolences to the family. That's a horrible thing, man. And this guy, he was obviously a really brave guy. And, you know, he was just doing the right thing.
And Afghanistan. Records show Marshal Ervin Jr. had been with the sheriff's office since 2012. The sheriff describing the 38-year-old as a father of 2.
They was outstanding men of character and integrity, family men, loved by their family and their kids.
The 2 deputies were serving a search warrant Thursday night at a home on John Ward Road and Hampton Glen Drive. The Cobb County Police Chief says a suspect inside the house had a weapon and exchanged gunfire with the deputies, killing them. Cobb Police Chief Stuart Van Hooser says those in law enforcement face an inherent risk when they're on the job.
Yep.
They do it to avenge violence.
And this is why we need the no-knock warrants, because these guys, a lot of these guys, there's no reason why they should get notification before the police run up in their spot, because they do things like this. When these officers are serving a warrant on these violent criminals, it's very dangerous, okay? And it can get them killed, as you guys see here.
They do it to seek justice for victims. They do it to prevent incidents like this from happening.
And as you've heard earlier, there have been heartfelt condolences from all over Metro Atlanta, as far away as Germany and Ireland, as we heard from Sheriff Craig Owens here in Cobb County. The Sheriff's Office said they were also taking monetary donations and helping out the families of those deputies. If you'd like to learn more, head to 11alive.com. Right now, the Cobb County Sheriff's Office trying to figure out more ways to honor these deputies who fell in the line of duty.
You on breaking news in Cobb County. 2 deputies gunned down while trying to serve a warrant in the West Cobb area. The department, their families, and the community all in mourning today. Now, they are the first deputies from the sheriff's office killed in a line of duty in more than 30 years.
Wow.
The shooting happened at a home on Hampton Glen Court, just off Barrett Parkway. The sheriff says the 2 deputies were ambushed, and we have live Team 2 coverage on this breaking story here. Channel 2's Kristen Holloway has been at the scene all morning talking with neighbors there. And first, let's go to Cobb County Bureau Chief Michelle Newell. Michelle, you've been talking with law enforcement about such a tough situation.
Such Such a tragic story. Really, all of Cobb County is heartbroken. I spoke with the police chief of the Cobb County Police Department, the lead agency on this investigation. He told me his officers were working throughout the night, working throughout this morning, and we've been working to get the names of the suspect. We're hoping to get an update from police on the investigation at some point today, but I can tell you at last check, those suspects were in the custody of Cobb County Police. Meantime, I have been speaking with the sheriff, with the Cobb County Sheriff. He told me that he is completely devastated, completely heartbroken. He said he was actually at the hospital last night with the deputies' wives. He said they are just obviously devastated.
What words can you say when you lose your family member?
Right.
And those words don't come easy. But just speaking straight from the heart, I would just say, just pray for us because we need it.
And, you know, I wonder what they were serving the warrant for. I'm sure that we will find that out. But like I said, this is exactly why you need no-knock warrants. And it isn't about race, because obviously these two Glider Gremlins killed these officers. But it's about more than that. It's about the safety of officers. You know, people think that, oh, if they just campaign and protest and march and that things are going to change and people are going to be less violent, and that's not the case at all.
Our hearts are broken here in Cobb County.
Cobb County Sheriff Craig Owens told me he will release the names of the fallen deputies once all of the families are notified, but he made it very clear that what happened last night was a direct ambush against his deputies. When we were at the scene, we saw officers hugging one another. I spoke with Odysse's police chief. He told me he drove to the scene as soon as he heard about it to offer any help he could, but more importantly, he wanted to personally support Sheriff Owens. He told me he doesn't know the fallen deputies personally, but he is certainly thinking of them during this time.
He's a brother in all aspects of the word, you know, both personally and professionally. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it's very.
My man got hella moles on his face.
We all have heavy hearts this morning.
And you really could see that last night. I was at the scene last night, worked all the way through the morning. All of these officers are devastated. I've seen support coming from law enforcement agencies from all over, locally, nationally. In fact, some Cobb County commissioners are even expressing their support recently this morning. Of course, we're working every angle of this story, expecting an update on this investigation today. Reporting live from Cobb County, Michelle Newell, Channel 2 Action News.
You went on. Good evening, everyone. I'm Linda Stouffer.
And I'm George Estevez sitting in for Justin Farmer. Let's go ahead and start with that breaking news we've kept ahead since last night. In the last 90 minutes, we've learned the two deputies killed last night in Cobb County are Marshall Ervin Jr. and Jonathan Koleski. These are their photos.
And here's what we know right now about the two men facing charges. They were in court in the last 2 hours. Christopher Cook is the man police were trying to serve a warrant for. Christopher Golden is the man police believe actually fired those shots.
We want to give you an idea of where this all happened. So the home is on Hampton Glen Court, and that's right near John Ward Road and Ernest Barrett Parkway. There's so much here to bring you, so we have live Team 2 coverage right now at 6. We're learning more about the victims, the suspects, and the new support now coming in.
Channel 2 Cobb County Bureau Chief Michelle Newell begins our live Team 2 coverage tonight from the Sheriff's Office. Michelle, that's where investigators spoke in the last hour.
Yeah, Linda, all of Cobb County is heartbroken today, especially law enforcement officials all over the county. And you could really feel just how emotional.
There hasn't been any support for law enforcement, though. Defund the police. Pigs in a blanket. I mean, we have been accosting the very people who have been making us safe. And now when something like this happens, everybody wants to act like this is just something that's brand new and couldn't have been anticipated. But I think that, oh man, the hostility toward law enforcement is not just coming from the community. It really isn't. Okay? It really isn't. because there were plenty of those glider liberals out there protesting, talking about some defund the police. I mean, they're still protesting, and they're trying to link that in with voter rights and BLM, and it's just a hot mess.
Sheriff Craig Owens was here inside the jail when he was joined here with so many law enforcement officials and so many others from the county. They lost 2 amazing deputies, 2 men who had families, 2 men who contributed so much to this community, and there are so many moving parts.
And that just goes back to like the devaluing of men, okay? Men are the ones keeping the society safe. Men are the ones running the society. Men are the ones who are laying down their lives in order to keep these different cities and our country safe. And you have certain women, not all, just talking down on men like we have not built and sustained this society.
To this investigation, this is video of Christopher Golden and Christopher Cook as they made their first appearance before a judge this afternoon. Golden is charged with 2 counts of felony murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault against an officer. Deputies tried to serve Christopher Cook a failure to appear warrant Thursday night for theft by deception charges that date back to...
Wow. So he robbed 2 Cobb County churches. He had a 2012 indictment for burglary and theft. So 10 years later, they're trying to serve him a warrant. I mean, he would have got a slap on the wrist. And he goes and does this. It's definitely an IQ problem. These glider gremlins are on demon time.
February of this year. Now, Cook was accused of selling stolen jewelry, including a bracelet that he sold for $250. Police say the entire situation escalated Thursday night when deputies Marshall Ervin Jr. and Jonathan Koleski tried to arrest Cook in the driveway for those charges. They say Golden was nearby with a gun.
They were confronted by an individual inside the home with a weapon. The deputies, both deputies, gave that individual loud, clear verbal commands to drop the weapon.
And this is why they shoot first.
He did not do that. At that point, there was an exchange of gunfire between the subject and the deputies. Both deputies were struck by gunfire.
Sheriff Craig Owens and his team were at the suspect's first appearance in court today, and this is what he had to say about it.
I wanted to look him in the eye who committed this act. I wanted to look him in the eye who committed this act, as well as my fellow sheriffs behind me wanted to see the same thing. That's just the honest truth. I wanted to see the individuals who committed this.
And this right here, this is the sheriff who was, his life and his wife were threatened by the super gremlin who was caught up in the YSL indictment. So these officers are under a lot of pressure.
Heinous act against my deputies.
A lot of emotion there, and we're also told Cook and Golden, they actually lived together in that house where all of this happened. Cobb County Police Department taking the lead on this investigation, saying they have so much evidence to go through, including body cameras. Of course, we are staying on top of this story, but I got to mention it was really something to see so many law enforcement officials from Cobb County and surrounding counties here inside this building surrounding Sheriff Craig Owens and his team. Live from Cobb County, Michelle Newell, Channel 2 Action News.
So much support, same support, Michelle, you saw last night on the scene as well.
I'm here on the corner of MLK and Frederick Douglass, where a shooting just took place. And as you can see, it's a pretty rough area. So I'm basically risking my life reporting on this madness. So make sure you do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. Like the video, hell, share the video, and make sure you go ahead and leave a comment down in the comments section to continue the discussion on how we can find solutions to all this son violence in the streets. I'm Jenquavius Jackson, here live, reporting from Atlanta, Georgia, BGZM News 17.
half staff and a community remains mourning after 2 Cobb County deputies were killed in the line of duty. Cobb County Sheriff Craig Owens Sr. talked about the impact of the loss. Cody Alcorn has more about these 2 men who gave their all to their job and their community.
We lost 2 great deputies.
A son, a husband, and a father of 2. 38-year-old Deputy Marshall Ervin Jr. protected Cobb County for the past 10 years, joining the sheriff's office in 2012.
They was outstanding men.
Deputy Jonathan Koleski joined the Cobb County Sheriff's Office 15 years ago. Not only did he serve his community, but also his country. A combat veteran who deployed 3 times to defend our freedoms. A man that loved his job so much, he wanted it shown even on his wedding day.
It hurts all of us.
2 men who willingly stepped up to a calling, pinned on a badge, and put their own lives on the line to protect others.
Men of character and integrity, family men, loved by their family and their kids.
Families now torn apart by the senseless act of one man who police say ambushed these 2 deputies.
This has broken the hearts of my deputies and civilians.
So sad. The 2 people accused of shooting and killing the deputies had their first court appearance Friday. Christopher Cook and Christopher Golden were both denied bond. According to jail records, Golden is charged with 2 counts of felony murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault. Cook is being held on theft-related warrants from earlier this year. Records show this is not the first time Cook and Golden have had contact with law enforcement. They're listed as co-defendants in a 2019 case where Golden is accused of stealing an iPad and tools. The 2 then allegedly sold the items at pawn shops. And in a 2012 case, Cook was sentenced to 10 years probation after he was found guilty of burglary, theft, and violating the state's Substance Abuse Act.
Wow.
Cook also broke into 2 churches and stole a gun, sword, and other items.
See, in this criminal justice reform and all this kind of stuff, it's not just affecting the community. It's getting these violent gliders out too. Okay? Geeked up, violent, enraged, and this is the result.
Items. According to previous arrest warrants, investigators found Cook with several bags of cocaine, and multiple incidents in February of this year led Cook to be charged with several more counts of theft.
Channel 2's Kristen Holloway continues our Team 2 coverage in the Hampton Glen neighborhood where the situation happened. Kristen, you've been talking to neighbors all morning long.
Fred, so many neighbors are shaken after this tragedy. Some didn't get inside their homes until well into the morning after that SWAT standoff. In the meantime, this afternoon, we are getting a closer look at this home here where this incident happened, where those deputies were shot and killed. You can see the significant damage at the home. And as you can imagine, heart-pounding, scary moments for neighbors when they heard those gunshots.
We are all heartbroken. So somber here in the neighborhood.
Neighbors overwhelmed with emotion after an unimaginable tragedy in their Hampton Glen neighborhood.
It's completely tragic. 2 officers trying to do their job to protect their community. It's pretty tough.
Dozens of residents say they are devastated after 2 Cobb County deputies were shot and killed Thursday evening here in West Cobb County. The Cobb sheriff says the deputies were ambushed and died while serving a warrant for one of the 2 suspects inside this home on Hampton Glen Court.
It's really scary. Yeah, it makes you think about, how well do you know your neighbors, right?
Yeah.
How well do you know what's going on in your neighborhood?
In these pictures a neighbor sent us, you can see police with guns drawn after the 2 deputies were shot. Both suspects barricaded themselves inside this home before being arrested by SWAT around midnight. Sean Brogan says he didn't know the people who lived in the home, but he never had any issues with them.
Always cordial, would wave back, would smile, would nod.
One neighbor told us her parents were outside and witnessed the shooting and they had to duck for cover. She says when more police arrived, they shouted a warning to neighbors.
They blasted out, stay inside, turn off your lights, just stay inside, away from windows, and that's what they did. This is shocking because it's a very peaceful neighborhood.
It's still unclear what led up to the gunfire, but Brogan says it won't matter to him.
I don't think we're going to learn anything that would ever justify the taking of 2 lives.
Right.
And back here live where this terrible incident took place at this home here, Both suspects are in custody, but there are still so many questions after this tragic incident overnight. We are hoping to get some answers to those questions throughout the day, and we're going to bring you the very latest on this investigation starting today at 4. We're live in West Cobb County. Kristen Holloway, Channel 2 Action News.
Kristen, you hear the stories from the neighborhood there, and you see the busted and shattered glass from the home, and it just blows your mind. Thank you very much.
Gang violence and other kind of violence.
Get away! I could be at work, at school, in my car, and I can still get shot by the police. I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.